An NTTV special report, UNTPrez Talks, with Dr. Neil Simatrisk.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of UNTPrez Talks, where we sit down and have a real conversation with UNT President Neil Simatrisk. As always, I'm your host, Michaela Goose. How are you doing today, President Simatrisk?
I'm doing great. We've had Movein coming over this weekend, and
Yes.
The campus is starting to fill up with students again. It's great.
Well, speaking of move-ins, they are officially over, and I saw that you were right in the thick of it in the residence halls and greeting students. What about this move-in season has been different than the last move-in seasons?
Actually, this is the smoothest move-in we've ever had. Students had a half-hour time slot in order to move in with their parents. Of course, their parents could stay and take them to Walmart or out to lunch or whatever. Excuse me. And there was very little crowding. Things were very evenly paced. And I think it went so smooth that I suggested we do it this way all the time. So that's the best part. Students were happy. Their parents were happy. Everyone seemed really excited about being back to school. And as far as I could tell, people were following the mask guidelines. Social distancing wasn't as good as it could have been, but it wasn't bad.
And speaking of housing, now this is a very stressful time for the housing staff who all work up close and personal with many different students. What is the university doing to ease the stress for the housing staff, who the majority of the time are also students?
Our RAs have been getting training after training. And part of that is we've also made available to them, if they need it, mental health counseling or other types of support. I won't tell you that there's been anything that I know of specifically to ease their stress. This is kind of usually their most exciting time of the year. And most of our RAs are really pumped to get back in action, work with the students in the dorms. I think this year, we're aware of some of our RAs who are a little bit more stressed than others. I know that supervisors have had some discussions with them, but I just got out of a cabinet meeting today in which I said, can we have a good talk with our housing ambassadors and our RAs? Tell them first, please, we're gonna test you and take care of you. And right now I've got good news. No RAs have tested positive. So that's great news. We did have one housing ambassador who tested positive, and I'll leave it at that. There's a good bit of isolation going on right now and quarantining, and that's what's going to happen. Maybe a message, by the way, that's really good for the kids in the residence halls to know is college is fun, and it's great to socialize, and it's great to get out and see people and meet new friends and build networks. But please do it in a safe way, because if you don't, and someone contracts COVID, everybody that person's with will have to quarantine. And when you quarantine, I guarantee you, sitting alone in your room isn't as fun as being out and about. So safety matters, and it matters in terms of your personal enjoyment. Please go ahead and be as safe as you can, and that way you can really maximize your college experience and have more fun. As far as getting back to the RAs, I think it's a great point, and what I'm going to do to be able to answer this question the next time you ask me is I'm going to find out from our auxiliary enterprises people what we're doing to create more support and a less stressful environment, because I know a lot is on the RAs. If there's a hot spot on campus, it's going to be in our residence halls. And again, the testing and tracing is solid, but we need more than that. We need to make sure that they're mentally healthy and they have a positive attitude. So let's see what we're doing about that. By the way,
I think that's
great question.
Oh, thank you. I know that's a question that I've gotten from Twitter, Facebook, people just asking me. I know that everyone is very worried about our housing staff, and our housing staff is very worried about themselves. So we definitely want to know what we can do as a university to help them ease that stress, ease that burden. Now, next Monday is the start of the fall semester. What do people need to remember about this very unique new semester that we're heading into?
So actually, I just had this conversation with our provost. A few things. First, I want our faculty to remember why we're here. We're here to transform lives, and we know that our students are in a time that has not been seen in our lifetimes. in my lifetime, which is a lot longer than your lifetime. So because of that, the first thing we need to remember is we're here to give them a great experience and to help them get over their fears so that they can learn effectively. So I hope that all of our faculty, and I know they will, all of our faculty really make sure in the first week we're orienting students well, we're being encouraging, we're developing a growth mindset, and we're being positive to help them engage, to help our students engage in the most positive experience they can, because the first week of class sets the tone for the rest of the semester. So that's the first thing I want people to remember. For staff, similarly, there'll be a lot of students trying to pay, trying to make late payments, trying to register late. There's always a flurry of activity. It's very stressful for our staff, especially in enrollment management and in student accounting, because and even advising, because at the last minute, there's lots of changes. This year it'll be harder because a lot of it will be virtual, some of it will be face-to-face. And what we have to remember first is that our staff are stressed because this is a hard-working situation, but I don't want that stress to also create further stress with our students. So again, try to remember why we're here, try to remember kindness and the caring attitude that I believe our campus has a hallmark of is going to be the thing that we have to really focus on. So I'm excited about it. I'm a little apprehensive about it. And what I want to make sure is that everyone remembers tolerance of each other, the situation, flexibility going into this, and caring is going to be what makes the difference. Finally, it's hard, especially in the excitement of freshmen moving in, to always remember about the safety that we need. The safety isn't just when you're walking on the campus or when you're in the student union or when you're in a classroom. It's really incumbent on everyone to remember that social distancing and masking and not holding large events is going to be critically important. University of North Carolina got into trouble this past weekend. And the reason they got into trouble is because people thought holding parties unmasked was a really good idea. And all of a sudden you have about 300 students who are suddenly coming down with COVID and creating really a kind of a PR disaster for the institution. We understand that students love socialization. I sure did when I was in college, but this is different times and we have to do it different ways. So give yourself a great college experience. Remember to keep safe. Remember to mask, to social distance. Don't go to parties where people aren't doing those things. It might be tempting. You might think it's part of the fun, but if you have to sit in your dorm room for 2 weeks, taking classes remotely, not seeing anyone, it'll be considerably less fun. So please follow the rules and help keep our community safe. This is a real appeal from my heart to you. We'll all be better off if people can continue to watch themselves and their friends and monitor for good behaviors.
And I think that's an amazing, poignant speech that you just gave. Mask up, socially distance, kindness, caring, all of those things are what we really need to remember, what we need to bring into the semester so we don't end up like UNC and we don't have to go home and ruin our college experience. Thank you so much, President Simatras. That is all I have for you today. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, good luck to everyone going in. Oh, let me do that over.
You're good.
I just want to wish everyone good luck and good health going into the semester. We're doing everything we can to make sure our classrooms are safe, our unions are safe, the residence halls are safe. By the way, I'll give you a bit of good news. We'll have tested around 600 to 700 students by next Thursday. And while that's a lot to test, it gives us a statistically relevant baseline to judge the rate of infection. So far, we've tested about 330 students who have come in. As they walked in the door, only one student tested positive, and that student's home quarantining, isolating in place. So that's great news because that's a very low rate of infection, lower than we predicted. And so let's keep our fingers crossed that we see that kind of continuing return that shows that people have been taking care of themselves.
That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, President Simatras. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. And good luck, Michaela, and good luck, Trevor. Have a great
Thank you. And Thank you. And thank you for watching UNTPrez Talks. Join us again next week for another episode.
You've been watching an NTTV special report, UNTPrez Talks, with Dr. Neil Smotrisk.